Welcome to WYCE's Community Close-Up, our weekly public affairs program produced in partnership with the Rapidian, a hyper-local news service here at the Grand Rapids Community Media Center. Community Close-Up brings you a diverse perspective from community leaders throughout West Michigan. This is WYCE Station Manager Phil Tower. Very pleased to be in studio this week with Cindy Meyers-Foley. She is the director and CEO of the Grand Rapids Art Museum, artmuseumgr.org. is where you will find just about everything we talk about. There will be some bonus discussions that you won't be able to find there. Cindy is a returning guest to the program. It's been a while, and welcome back. It's good to have you in the studio.
Thanks, Phil. I'm glad to be here.
You and I have been enjoying a summer, unbelievably warm and busy summer, and here we are toward the end of August. But there's a lot to talk about. Cindy, one of the things, as we just sunsetted our, it seems like 17th year of Graham on the Green, part of a new series you have for Thursday nights, which you branded as Thursdays on the Terrace. Talk about that in terms of why you broaden this, and just for people to know about that. There's one more Thursday on the Terrace coming up next Thursday, the end of August. So talk about that, Thursdays on the Terrace.
Well, I think, Phil, we realized that, Thursdays are free at the museum. And we realized people are looking for their art museum to be something more than just a place where they can see and be inspired by art. But we need more third spaces in Grand Rapids, probably all throughout the U.S. But Graham decided this is a way for us to offer free programming every Thursday night that has a little bit of art, music, food, drink, beverage, but mostly social connection. So each of the themes are slightly different. You can go online and see. My favorite of the summer is one called Quiet Read. And literally what it was is a whole bunch of folks showing up who need to finish that novel or want to just socially sit in quiet and read together. It's a trend that we're seeing pop up around the U.S., but we realized we could partner with our local library system and invite folks down to just sit on the front lawn of the museum and read. But there's also knit night, where knitters can come together. But do you see a trend here? It's about connection. It's Graham is a place where we can do creative things. We can see things that inspire us, but we can also just socially come together as a community.
Yeah, and it really is. You just said the key word. I'm thinking it's community. I get that sense when I'm there for our Graham on the Green performances. You just see people who feel good being in a space with other people. I think a lot of this is the leftover seclusion of COVID 5 years later. But I love how you describe this as third spaces, because we do need these places, whether it's knitting or just quietly reading a book. I think people want this sense of being out, especially in the summertime where we don't get warm, beautiful days like we've had so many of this summer. But I like the fact that you're describing this as more than an art museum. It's a place to gather, Cindy.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a perfect example. I have two children, and you and I have talked about our kids, and I have one that's in college, one that's in high school. Graham on the Green is the one place I can guarantee I can get both kids to come down to the museum, and we'll sit together. And my college student just turned 21, so I bought him a drink out of our cafe, and we celebrated together listening to the band last week. So it's not only for our community. I mean, our staff really love these Thursday nights because it's an opportunity for us to enjoy this space and being downtown and the vibrancy that it brings.
You spend a lot of time talking with your patrons, your supporters, those who regularly attend the art museum and really love what you're doing. But that feedback loop is really important because their interests and wants from an art museum are changing. Can you talk about that process and what you're learning?
Yeah, so I'll start with, about 20 years ago, there was some great research that was emerging that was saying, the role of the art museum in society is paralleling what we've seen in libraries. So, if those of us of a certain age remember the library as this quiet place where you went to just study, right? That has evolved a lot. And what we find from research is we're on a parallel track to libraries. Folks are looking now for their museums to be social spaces. They're looking for their museums to be places where especially not only can they see artwork that inspires and is kind of the icons of human creativity, but it's also a place where they can engage their own creativity. So the imagination, critical thinking, and at a time where we're trying to untether ourselves from our devices and be fully of the world, an art museum can create opportunities for wonder. Wonder is that suspended disbelief. It's when we almost stop in our tracks and we don't know how we're processing something. We don't know what we're seeing, but it makes us very present. And I think we need that in our lives. We need spaces that do that. Nature does it as well, but it triggers different kind of endorphins and processing. But an art museum has a unique way to make us think, stop, reflect, and connect to other human beings, especially if their stories aren't maybe quite like our own.
Yeah. And what I like, we're speaking with Cindy Meyers-Foley, Director and CEO of the Grand Rapids Art Museum here on WYCE's Community Close-Up. What I like is not only is there community created, but there are different types of communities. There are sub-communities within communities in Grand Rapids. You go to Easttown, it's different than Kentwood, and it's different than the Wealthy Street District.
Yeah.
And downtown really has its own vibe. You have understand the importance of community so much. You guys have opened recently, about a year ago, you launched a community engagement department. What are your goals with that?
Great question. So what I think we all were realizing is that if this is part of the work, if this is what visitors are asking from us, then we need to invest in it. So we, it's been about a year and a half now that we've had this new position, and that individual's job is really relationship building, connection and relationship building. They work on a variety of programs, everything from health and well-being. So if you like a good meditation in the galleries, you can find that at Graham. But you can also find, we will have conversations that we call seeding change, which are sometimes connected to our exhibitions. Sometimes it's just the conversation we need to have. And we bring scholars and thinkers together to dig at these complex ideas. What we love about art is it's not about right or wrong, but it is about, can we grapple with complexity? And so, these programs bring together sometimes unlikely folks to toss around, things like everything from immigration, but it also might just be our youth and how are we dealing with the challenges of devices, for example.
Yeah, it's not easy being a teenager in 2025. The interesting thing about the Art Museum is it's really, Cindy, many places. You've got so many great spaces inside the Art Museum. And I'm thinking about, as we're talking about community engagement, was it about a year ago, the Surgeon General, maybe 2 years ago, talked about, I think it was about a year and a half ago, remember, issued a public health warning, and a lot of listeners aren't going to believe this, but it was on an epidemic of loneliness.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It made a lot of news, and people are going, what? Wait. But it's not just old people who are widows or widowers. It's young people who feel isolated because of social media, because of their phones. That's why I'm really excited. You have a brand new program. I'd love this, Cindy. You have a teen identity program, really kind of addressing some of these issues, because it is extraordinary. You and I have both raised teenagers. We should get medals or some kind of special recognition for that, at least understanding the complexities there. I can't even imagine. We both grew up without social media. I can't imagine that layered on top of all the other things I was worried about as a teenager and dealing with. Big challenges. And also just learning how to talk to each other. I can't tell you, And I'll bet you've done this as well. You go to a restaurant and you look around at people at tables, and I'm talking moms and dads and teens, and they're all
on devices.
They're all looking down at their devices, and no one's talking. Yeah. And I will tell you that it's a bit disturbing and alarming, but this is a teen identity program you're doing at the Grand Rapids Art Museum. What are you trying to get from this?
Well, I'm going to encourage everyone to pick up a particular book, and I have it here in my bag, so I'm leaning over to show it to you.
We have a show and tell on the radio.
It's so funny. But it's called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. And I think it impacted a lot of us at the museum when we read it. He really is addressing exactly what you're talking about. But on top of it, he talks about 1 in 4 teens is pretty significantly either depressed or dealing with anxiety. And it is a moment where we in society must take stock of how do we help our youth, right? And the Art Museum feels strongly that we can play a pretty significant role in this. So we launched this program, and we're working with a number of different schools. The students come to the museum for art looking and art making, but here's what the whole program is about. It's getting them to be present. Yeah. It is getting them to talk about complex ideas there aren't simple answers to. For example, identity. And what's great about an art museum is instead of talking about your own identity, you can use the work as a proxy for the human condition. You can make sense of things by using the art as a bouncing off of sorts. And what students are able to do is unravel some of those challenging concepts, and then they can go to the studio and they can start to put together, how are you thinking about your own identity? And we all have such complex identities, and at a time where that's seems like a challenging thing, it actually should be an assuring thing that we are unique and creative and dynamic, but how do we celebrate those differences instead of wallowing in this, our screens that tell us we should be otherwise?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So the program, we did a small experiment this past spring. The outcomes were pretty extraordinary. We had students that felt 88% of them felt that the program helped them understand their own identity, especially understanding aspects of themselves they didn't previously understand. 92% of them said the program helped them with developing multiple ideas around. I think we're seeing this more and more is these clickbait topics, and we think we know what we're talking about, but things are so complex. So what we love is that students come out with such a plethora of ways of understanding who we are as human beings. What does it mean to live in maybe a place, Grand Rapids, Michigan? How do we center ourselves, but how do we also understand the world, the bigger world around us?
Do you need help with that? Are you looking for volunteers? I mean, how can our listeners support your teen identity programming and some of your other community engagement work?
Well, one of the things is these programs, and right now it is difficult to be an arts organization. We do feel a bit like
threatened.
It's a moment, and we feel in the crosshairs, and especially we know this work is powerful and it's important. But we do need support. And in particular, a program like this, it's burgeoning. It's just getting started. We're doing research. So we're working with researchers out of the University of Washington who are looking at some of our data to help us understand the impact. But all that costs money. And in particular, to do it intentionally, we could use support. And so if this means something to you, we'd love for you to get involved and, become a member and or donate to the Art Museum.
artmuseumgr.org, artmuseumgr.org to learn more about that. And I want to just underscore what Cindy said. There is no more important time to support the arts than now in 2025. So many foundational, important things in our culture are under fire, and the arts and cultural institutions are on that list, thought as being threatening places when they're anything but. And you hear Cindy talking about all these efforts to build community. It's so very important. I knew this was going to happen. We are coming to the close of our program. We could do like part 2, 3, and 4. And Cindy and I will have solved all of the world's problems, or at least domestically. And then we'll move on to the world. Cindy Meyers-Foley with us, director and CEO of the Grand Rapids Art Museum. A real quick plug for David Hockney. Perspective should be reversed. I've seen some of this as I've kind of wandered through the museum. This goes on through November 2nd. Really cool stuff. I love the quote from David Hockney: if we are to change our worldview, images have to change. He said that 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Was that prophetic
Profound.
or what?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Incredibly valid. And that is 2 different collections of his work, and it's pretty profound. I think did I see it's 150 some pieces?
Yeah, it's extraordinary. One major collector has spent a lifetime really collecting Hockney's work. This is the only opportunity, unless you're ready to fly to France, where he's also having a great exhibition right now, but the only opportunity in the U.S. to see Hockney's work before it closes in November. Yeah. But remember, this guy is 88 years old. He also maybe smokes a pack a day still, which is kind of incredible. But
this is not an endorsement for
no. We do not encourage that. But art is
he's still alive.
He is still alive, and he is still making, and he is innovating to this day.
I love it.
Some of the work in the exhibition uses iPads in ways that will blow your mind. And that's all I'm going to tell you. Just come. Yeah. You've got to see how this artist who's been working since the late 50s is still innovating today.
Yeah. That is a great way to challenge your thinking. Again, artmuseumgr.org. Cindy Meyers-Foley, the director and CEO of the Grand Rapids Art Museum. Hey, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Phil.
We need to do a part 2 for sure. She's been with us on this segment of WYCE's Community Close-Up, our weekly public affairs program, produced in partnership with the Rapidian here at the Grand Rapids Community Media Center. I'm WYCE Station Manager Phil Tower. Thank you for listening.